Hi, this is Cameron from CanCam CNC Machines, and today I'm going to be doing a laser training with our Mira 9 laser here. We're going to start off with a quick walk around of our machine. At the front here, we have our controller at the top. The glass lifts up at the front. Going around the side here, and the back of the machine. Here we have the main power for our machine. You would plug in here, there's an additional switch. Here's our exhaust hose. Over here we have our water levels and our chiller temperature as well. This is the drain plug, this is the refill cap. So here, this fill level will show how much water we have in the machine. This machine is currently approximately in the middle, near the top of normal, which is ideal for running the machine. In these machines, we specifically use distilled water. Up here is just a cap. You can unscrew this. You would use a funnel to make sure you don't spill any water. Fill it up to the appropriate location on normal. And then if you ever need to drain the distilled water out, we recommend replacing it about every 3 months. This is the drain plug here. You would unscrew this and make sure you have a bucket ready for the water to drain into. So your machine may or may not come with an extended tube depending on the tube size. This is just an extension cap for a larger tube in the Mira 9. Here we have our main power controls. We have an e-stop. To activate it, you would twist it and it would release and turn the machine on. To e-stop the machine, you would press it in and it'll shut everything down. Below that, we have our key lockout access. So this is a power switch. Turning it clockwise would shut the machine down and lock it out. Turning it back counterclockwise, it will turn the machine back on. Below that, we have the blower switch. This is just a switch that you press in. It'll activate the blower at the back to blow the exhaust fumes out. The U-disc below is for USB drives to load files directly onto the Mira 9. And below this is our USB access that would go directly to your computer or laptop. So before powering your machine on for the first time, or really any time, you're going to want to make sure that the bed is clear of any materials or objects. The laser head over here can move and crash into anything on this bed. When powering on your machine, you would want the cable plugged in, and if it's not powering up, just make sure this switch is set to on. All right, so when powering the machine on for the first time, we're gonna make sure that switch at the back of the machine is on. The key lockout is vertical here, and we're gonna twist the e-stop clockwise, and the machine will turn on. As the machine turns on, the laser head will home to the back right corner of the machine, and then it'll move to the last saved origin location of the machine. So our controller on the top of the Mira 9 here has many buttons. The arrows here, when you first turn it on, are going to be your movement arrows. So left obviously goes left, and so on with the additional arrows. Moving over to the start pause button here. Start pause would start your cut or pause your cut, and if it's paused, it will also resume it when you press it. The origin button saves a origin location. The frame button here will use the origin location of the machine and do a frame around the size of the design that you have, and it'll show you where that's going to land on the material. The pulse button sends a laser pulse through the laser. The speed button is for manually changing the speed. You can press that and adjust your speed there. To exit any menu that you see, the escape key will go back. Moving on to the max power and minimum power buttons. Those will adjust the pulse strength when you press the pulse button. You can change those by just going into their setting menus. Again, escape key to go back. The reset key here You can hold it for about 2 seconds, let go, and the system will reset. Please note the machine will home itself. So the file menu here will open up, and this is where you can access the USB drives or any files you have saved on the Mira 9. Hitting the escape key exits that menu. The escape key also has an additional function. If we move the laser head using the arrows to some random location, we can save an origin, move the laser head away from that saved location, and if we press the escape key while it's at the home menu here, it will return to that origin location. So we're going to do an autofocus next with the machine. Before autofocusing, we definitely want to put a piece of material under the laser head so it won't crash. So we're going to lift up the glass, place the wood under the laser head. Just be careful not to hit it, and make sure it's directly under the laser head there. We're going to go through this Z/U button here next. If you press it, it opens up a menu. This gives you access to the Z move button there. As Z move is highlighted, if you press the left arrow, the machine bed will raise, and if you press the right arrow, the machine bed will go down. You can hear it moving. Here on the controller, we have our X, Y, and Z axes, and they show the location of our laser head on the machine. Right now, our Z, we want it to show the focal distance, and a typical focal distance is 6, 7, or maybe 8 millimeters. Right now we know it's not in focus because it shows 28.0. So to bring it back into focus, with material under the laser head, we're going to go through the menu, autofocus, and the Z coordinate will change once the autofocus sequence is done, and we have a 6.5 millimeter focus distance. Here we have the test cut that we supply with every machine. You can see how fine the line cutting can actually reach on your machine. You can see the depth of cut that a fill will do in this circle right here. The percentages relate to the power that the laser puts out for each triangle. Here you can see different speeds for different shapes here. And then at the very bottom, you have your lines per inch, from less lines per inch to a greater lines per inch. So now we're going to establish a connection between this laptop here and the Mira 9 laser over here. We're going to use a USB to USB cable, and we're going to plug it into the laptop, a USB port. And then we're going to plug that same cable into the lower USB port on the side of the Mira 9 here. So we plugged our USB cable in. Next we're going to go to devices here to make sure it's making a connection. We're going to click Find My Laser. There's a text message here. We're going to click Next. We're going to select the top one of these here, and we're going to click Add Device. You can name it whatever you would like. For the dimensions down here, our Mira 9 x-axis is 900 millimeters and the y-axis is 600 millimeters. You may have to change that depending on the model of laser that you have. Once that's set up, you click Next. Our Mira 9 laser homes to the rear right. We're done, so we can click Finish here. We can select OK, and then make sure this drop down has your new laser connection name there. So to open up some move controls in Lightburn here, we can go to Window at the top, and we're going to highlight the Move button. That will open up a Move tab on the right side of the screen here. You can select that, and now we have access to moving the laser head around the machine, as well as an autofocus button there. As an example, using the move controls on Lightburn, you can move the laser head around and also autofocus it. So we're going to go to our drawing tools on the left side panel here. We're going to use a rectangle for an example. Click on rectangle and then click, drag and drop anywhere on the screen. And we'll have created a box here. As we create the box, the layer panel will add a layer. If we wanted another layer or another object on another layer, we could create a second box. And to change the layer of that box, we can select any of these layers down below. Let's select this red one, and you'll notice our box goes red there, and we've had another layer pop up in the layer panel. So we're going to go through layer settings now. On this layer here, we're going to double click on the speed and power. This will open up a window where we have access to many different controls and settings. This layer, we're going to have it as our fill layer. For filling, a good standard that we use for this plywood is 300 millimeters per second. A max power of 30 is a good starting point for engraving. And a minimum power, we're just going to match that to 30 for engraving as well. For our red layer here, we're going to change the mode to line, and we're going to change our speed and power to a speed and power that will cut through the plywood that we have. So double click. We're going to change the speed down to 10. 10 is a good starting point for this 1/4 inch plywood that we have. Max power for cutting through is we're going to want at least 90% or higher. I'm going to go with 95. And the laser typically will slow down around corners, and as it slows down it might leave scorch marks. So we're going to keep that minimum power just below the maximum power within 10%. So we're going to use 90 minimum power for the line setting to cut through. So we're ready to do our test cut here. To make sure we're going to cut in the right location, we're going to use the arrows on the control panel and move the laser head to the right side of the material and to the top of the material. Our job origin is typically going to be in the top right. This machine specifically homes in the top right corner, so that's typically where we use our job origin. From here, we're going to do an autofocus, making sure this gold pin is directly above the wood. So to choose your job origin, there's a small panel here in the top right. You can see we have our origin selected. You can also move that around if you wanted to start from a different location. We recommend keeping it to the top right, as our Mira lasers are all set up with their homing location in the top right as well. From here, we can actually frame the design we have on the piece of wood. So we've framed our design on the piece of wood. We're ready to start cutting. Let's make sure that we close the glass door here and that our fume extraction is set up. If you have a exhaust hose set up to exhaust the fumes out the back, you just press the blower switch and the blower will activate. So we're going to press start to start the cut. So a few extra tricks here. We're going to paste just a basic image that we took as a screenshot. And we want to turn this image into a set of lines that Lightburn can burn into material. So we're going to go to Tools and we're going to select trace image. Here we have a bunch of sliders that we can adjust to get different parts of the design to show up as lines. You can also select sketch trace and it'll sketch it a little differently. Once you're done there, just click OK. You may have to adjust these settings a few times, a little bit of trial and error there, but it creates a set of lines almost identical to the image that you can then cut into wood. Let's say we wanted to now break this apart. We could right click, ungroup, and we should have individual letters now. If we wanted to break one of these letters apart even further, we could select that letter, go to arrange, and go down to break apart. And now we've broken this letter A into many different segments that we can adjust and manipulate as we see fit. So here at CanCam we have a few extra parts. These are consumables that your laser will use. Here we have an additional lens. Here's a replacement mirror. Here's a lens housing. A few extra pins if they ever get damaged, crashed, or dirty. Here we provide one set of glasses with every machine. These are set up so that's they're specific to lasers. You can always order an extra pair if you need one. And we also provide a fire extinguisher that is safe for electronics. These are also available for purchase from us. Thanks for watching our Mira 9 laser training video. If you have any questions or need any help, feel free to reach out to support@cancam.ca and we'd be happy to help.